All right, lots to talk about as we head into the Olympic break, and we need Jeff Marek to talk about it. So he joins us once again, host of The Sheet, here on a fully remote day for us here on Sick Harrison Price featuring Jeff Patterson. Welcome aboard, sir. How are you?
I am well. Blake, J-Pat, good to be with you guys again. And yeah, we are all fully remote. This is what all designed for. Hockey anywhere, hockey everywhere.
That's
One's
right.
in a hotel room. J-Pat, I'm assuming you're at a rink right now. Am I correct on that one? And
Nah, close. Home office. But
okay, so you're in the home office, and I'm in the broadcast empire, my basement.
Yeah.
So we're both at home, and Blake's on the road. Can we not get Matty from somewhere south on the beach with sand in his toes?
No, that's the last place we want to see him. Yeah, he's scantily clad on a Mexican beach. No one needs to see that. No one needs to see that.
With a Speedo so tight we can see what religion he is.
Yes,
we don't need that on the Sick Harrison Price show today.
Thank you.
What you're saying. Okay, very good. Very good.
I was at the Canucks game last night, and man, oh man, that was a team that, especially in the third period, looked pretty ready for an Olympic break. I mean, Canucks fans have 25 games to go, Jeff, and if they could find the fast forward button, I'm sure they would.
This is where it feels like a season, right? This is where you always talk about the value of, even if you don't make it to the playoffs, the value of having a season that's really 82 games. Like, at the end of the day, if the San Jose Sharks don't make it to the playoffs, they're still going to know what 82 games feels like. All those kids, right? And obviously, so starting with Macklin Celebrini, they're all going to know what 82 games feels like because they're going to be in the race right up to the very end. So even if they don't ultimately make it, there's that experience factor. And then there are just some teams that just can't wait for game 82 to show up. And unfortunately, that's where the Vancouver Canucks find themselves. And, you can never ask a coach to deliberately lose. That won't happen. You can never ask a player to go out there and throw games away. They're still, wired to compete. But man, does it ever feel like a season. Although you look for the small league. I thought Blueger's line was really good last night. Like what I saw from Liam Ogren last night. I like Connor Garland last night. Other than that, there wasn't a whole lot that I really liked from a Vancouver point of view in that game. But for what it's worth, I thought Blueger's line was good.
Yeah, but this is the problem. No, but this is the problem. That they found a line that works, and Teddy Blueger's going to get punted here on the other side of the roster.
He's going to get. I know.
And they let the poor moms down, Jeff, too. They took the moms out of the road. There was supposed to be some sort of inspiration there, and then they fall flat in Utah. Yeah, well, at least the moms got Vegas.
At least mom's got Vegas. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's one thing to do it in front of disappointed dad, but you never want to let down mom. I understand it. Just by the way, do you guys know the Anaheim story, the Anaheim dad's trip story? Do you guys ever hear this one? Bruce Boudreau and I talked about this on the pod that we do a couple weeks ago. It's the greatest dad's trip ever, where Anaheim was in San Jose, and Gabby says in the morning he gets a note from the team. This guy says, I need to show you something, and he shows him the hotel video of the in-hotel bar from the night before, and sure enough, some of the dads from the Anaheim Ducks got in a brawl in the bar at 2:00 in the morning. 2:00 in the morning, and afterwards, the Anaheim Ducks scrubbed the dad's trip. Yes, there was actually a brawl between boozy patrons and some boozy dads as well. But anyhow, yeah, you never want to let down mom, and mom will always play it off like she's not let down, but you can't let mom down. That's always a tough one. That's always a tough one. But at least they're doing it. At least they're still doing the trip, right? I don't know if the Maple Leafs, we haven't heard whether the Maple Leafs are doing theirs this year yet.
And the Canucks hadn't done one for a couple of years. So it came back this year. They did a Mentors trip a couple of years ago, but it had been a few seasons since they did it. So I was glad in a losing season like this one, at least break it up, bring the moms in, have a little fun.
Now, of course, the payoff for being this bad is the chance to get the top pick in the NHL entry draft. And it was looking like Stenberg was the consensus after the World Juniors, after McKenna had it for much of 2025. And then Gavin Mckenna started going off at Penn State. And then we all thought, okay, there's the Canadian kid, putting his flag in the ground and going, nope, this thing is mine. And Then there was last weekend, Jeff, and we know what's happened since then.
You mean the big goal that he scored in the outdoor game at Beaver Stadium and that great picture with the celebration? That's what you're talking about, right, Blake? I have this.
There was that, and that added to what I was just talking about. Like I think we had all just finally found unanimity. Okay, it is going to be McKenna at number one. What's going to happen now here, Jeff?
Boy, that's the big question that everybody's asking right now, right? What exactly happened, and various reports about other buckled students approaching them and insults to family members, and that's all for one part of the conversation. I get it. The question for me is with this Gavin McKenna incident, and I don't think Penn State plays again until I want to say 13th or maybe 15th against Michigan. So there's some time to sort a lot of this kind of stuff out here. Gavin McKenna's Canadian. I don't know what something like this would do with, again, we'll see what happens with charges. What would happen with his immigration status? Well, what would this mean for his NIL? I ask from a place of ignorance. I just don't know. Because this is, as we talked about this season being, okay, this is the first year of the new reality. I think that we looked at this season and said, okay, there's going to be some kids that like it and excel. There's going to be some kids that like it or maybe are on the fence and have a hard time with it and maybe come back to the Canadian Hockey League, and we've seen that too. I don't think any of us looked at this and said, well, what happens if there's an assault charge against any of these kids? And now here's where we find ourselves with Gavin McKenna. So that's what I'm sort of curious about here. What does this do with his immigration status? What does this do with his status with Penn State and the hockey program? I legitimately have nothing at this point, nothing but questions, like many of us.
And we can't really prognosticate what any one of us would do as a team, because again, we don't have any of those details, Jeff. That's the problem, right? We don't know if he's got to come back to the CHL. We don't know if he's going to get bailed out, and if there's any administration in the United States government that might sort of look at this and say, hey, again, if he was defending the honor of his mother and all, we need some details here before we're really able to flesh out the story, right?
Yeah, there's the legal side of this, and then there's well, you know what? Maybe the guy got what he deserved. You want to lip off about someone's mom. What do you think is going to happen if that is indeed what happened? And that's why, I've been asked a couple of different times, what is this going to do if all of this is true, assuming all of this is true, what would this do to his draft stock? And I keep answering nothing. Nothing at all. Like, this isn't going to be like all of a sudden teams are going to be, oh, buyer beware. Gavin McKenna allegedly, punched someone outside of a restaurant who may or may not have been insulting his mother. I don't think that's going to do anything to his draft stock. I would imagine for a lot of hockey operators, it might improve it, or it might just cement that status as well. So right now, the whole scenario, there's the hockey side of it, and then there's the legal side of it here. And I think from the hockey point of view, don't think it changes anything. We'll see how it all plays out. But from the legal point of view, I think all right now we have our questions. I know I certainly do. I suspect you guys are the same way.
Yeah, look, I don't want to make light of it, but it seems to me that you can almost hear whispers out of Medicine Hat saying, like, chuck them out of the country, send them back to the Western Hockey League.
They don't need them. Hang on. Well, Medicine Hat's one of the best stories in the HL. They lose all these players, Richie and McKenna, top 10 team. Still, it's impressive. But I do know what you mean. Yeah, throw the book at them. Get them out of Division One.
We saw the Los Angeles Kings beat the clock yesterday ahead of this roster freeze. But did they not miss a massive opportunity? They're below the playoff bar. They lost at home to Seattle last night. They're in Vegas, so they had 2 games here, bumping up against the Olympic portion of their schedule. They need wins. And so, this rush to make the deal to get Panarin, but now we find out that he's not going to play until after the Olympics, that he's been off, and obviously the Rangers have put him on mothballs there. I don't know. It feels like a missed opportunity for the Kings. If that was their guy and that was the deal, make it and get him in here so that he can help you.
It sounded very much like his group, and that was led by Paul Theophanis, the agent, wanted to test the marketplace here. And let's not forget here, the Rangers weren't playing the guy. and he was still getting paid. Essentially, this was free agency. Like, this was free agency for Artemi Panarin. Somehow Artemi Panarin figured out how to get to free agency in late January, early February, and that's what we just saw. And it sounded like very much like Paul Theophanous, did his homework and negotiated or talked to a lot of different teams, trying to get the best possible contract that he could for his client. And its latest piece, he talks about as much as offers of around $15 million per season, like massive offers. So even if your client, like the way that I look at it, JPat, is even if your client has his heart set on, I'm going to Los Angeles. And Blake, I think I said with you and Maddie a couple of weeks ago that I'd spoken with an ex-general manager at an event that I was doing, who mentioned like, yeah, it looks like he's going to Los Angeles. What the agent is doing then is trying to play every other team off of each other to drive that price tag higher and higher. I know, JPat, exactly what you mean. Like, the Kings are scrapping for every single point that they can get, but at that moment, I don't know that was Artemi Panarin's concern or Paul Theophanous' concern at that point. It's just try to get the maximum compensation and comfortable term for your client, however you're going to do it. And there were, make no mistake about it, a lot of teams that were interested in Artemi Panarin. That just drove it higher and higher, even if he had his heart set on Los Angeles. And the other thing too is, perhaps he would have wanted longer term than just 2 years with Los Angeles. You build up the marketplace. Maybe you can juice the Kings for a couple of extra seasons. So I don't know that as much as LA wanted him and they needed those points, that was certainly measured off and balanced out by Panarin and his camp trying to get the best of all possible deals. That's a nice deal for him. Barely took a haircut.
Was the trade activity before the roster freeze about at the level you expected, with just a couple there coming in at the end?
I thought that there would be. I thought that there would be more. Bukestad to New Jersey is interesting, just because of the position, specifically center. And so right away you wonder about the health of Jack Hughes and looking for insulation there. I thought that there would be more, and I thought that there would be teams like Detroit, for example, who have double-digit cap space, and I thought that they could sort of leverage, because there are some teams, I'm sure, that they just don't want guys sitting on their salary cap right now. Guys that they're intending to move, and Detroit could have made that deal quite easily, thank you very much, and they'll eat the extra couple of weeks. But it didn't happen. Deadline spur activity, I suppose. This was one sort of deadline, and if anything, I think we're going to see things pretty active when the freeze is up, because teams are going to do business with one another, and they'll just wait for the trade freeze to lift. And I don't know what this is going to mean for actual trade deadline day. Probably, as we've seen the last few years, there's always some. Rantanen was the big one last trade deadline, but sometimes the bigger trades get made, a couple of days before or the day before the actual trade deadline. But I think when the freeze is up, we're going to see what type of activity all these teams have had with one another.
The Olympic roster freeze, because we are finally at the stage where you can get excited about that and what the games will bring to us. Still have a little bit of a wait, a week away for game number one on the men's side. Women get going, of course, now. But on the men's side, with the addition of Sam Bennett, do you like the group? Do you still think they're missing some skill? Do you think Wilson and Bennett are redundant?
It's a great question. You look at, like, the first thing that jumps out at you, a couple of things jump out at you right away when you look at Team Canada, and that is, wow, this looks just like the Four Nations team. All right. And then you start to hear, people around Hockey Canada and other observers say, well, it's pretty clear that Hockey Canada wants people that have been in big pressure situations before. And they're hesitant, and Hockey Canada has always been this way, hesitant to bring young players. Previous to Macklin Celebrini in the NHL era in the Olympics, it was Drew Doughty at 20 in Vancouver, and even then, people were like, ooh, this Doughty kid's too young. And by the end, he was one of Canada's best defensemen, but nonetheless. They want guys that have been there before. They want Stanley Cup winners. They want Four Nations. They want Four Nations champions as well. So it does make some sense. I know that it looks like, and it feels like, and the USA is guilty of this as well, it does very much look like is building a team to beat the US. and the United States has built the team to try to beat Canada. So I asked Brian Burke about this when the Canadian roster was initially released, and he had an interesting answer. He said, of course, Canada has tried to put together a roster to beat the United States, and then he paused and said, and that means they've put a roster together to beat everybody. Like, in his mind, the two countries that have clearly distinguished themselves amongst the pack are Canada and the United States. If you can beat the other, then you can beat anybody else. That's Berkey's idea here. I don't know that I disagree with him at all.
No, that would be my thing. Is if you constructed a team to win a street fight mixed with skill, can you beat the other teams as well? And Jeff, I just don't think there's another team. I don't think the Swedes, and there's no Russians there, that are just so stacked with skill. Like, normally I would say, maybe a fully skilled team then has a chance to skate around them. But I don't think that anybody's got that right now.
No, I don't think so. I think this whole thing is sort of matching up, and we'll see. Like, along, you know what it's like in the Olympics, guys. Like, along the way, weird things happen. You know, hey man, what happens if Lucas Tostal stands on his head in that first game?
Yep. Yeah.
All right, and Canada gets the big scare early, and the United States gets to breeze through there. Like, it's that's the ultimate wild card here, but Canada has, and we can always nitpick, and I think we're all looking at the goaltending and saying if they're going to fall down somewhere, it's probably going to be a net. And I can nitpick. There we go. First day with the new tongue. Nitpick the blue line and make the point that, Evan Bouchard should be there above Colton Parayko, and Evan Bouchard should be there above Drew Doughty. And then I catch myself and I keep thinking, what does Hockey Canada want? Rings in the room, rings in the room, rings in the room. And that ain't Evan Bouchard, but that is Doughty, and it is Colton Parayko. So we can nitpick all we want, but this is a team that, barring anything bizarre happening, should win the gold medal. I hope I just haven't jinxed it for this country, but they should.
We've asked this question of a few guests this week, but who's getting the start for Canada in Game 1?
Boy, I keep coming back to one idea, and that is loyalty. But loyalty only extends so far. We've seen loyalty with the selection process, and that's why I've been given this answer whenever it's been asked. I feel like it's Jordan Binnington in the first game, but after the first game, all bets are off. All bets are off. I think out of sort of courtesy and respect for foreign nations, they give the first start to Binnington. I don't think anyone even can predict whether he's going to finish that game given the season that he's had and how hard he's been to hit this season for the St. Louis Blues. I think a lot of that is the blue line too, but nonetheless, I digress. So I think J-Pat, I think he gets the first start, but then after that, don't know. But you know what? I'll tell you one thing. I spoke to Chris Pronger last week, who brought up a really interesting point about Logan Thompson, and I want to share it with you and your viewers and listeners here. Because we had this conversation about the net minding, and I asked him from a blue liner's point of view, when you have a right catch goaltender, what does that do for you? What does that do for your team? My thinking is, it's a weird look for the shooters from the other team. It's going to be more difficult for them to score. The instincts are all on the other side now. And he said, it's hard for defenders. I said, really? He goes, yeah. He goes, think about it this way. He said, you look at someone like Alexander Ovechkin setting up from that one-timer in that one-timer spot where he always does. As a defenseman, if I'm trying to get Ovechkin for that shot, I want to take away the short side. And for a traditional goaltender, I'm taking away the short side, that's the blocker. In this case, it's the glove, and goalies want to use that glove there. Where does the goaltender want me at that moment for that one-timer? He said pucks go in different places with a right catch goaltender. It's not the same, and all your instincts are a little bit different. He said it's not as easy as you think. Now, these are the elite of the elite, and you should be able to adapt, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But I thought it was interesting that Chris Pronger, like one of the greatest defensemen to ever play the game, had even just like a little bit of sort of a misgiving about a right catch goaltender in net, just because defensively your instincts aren't always the right choices. Because what lane do you want to take away? Where are the rebounds going? I just thought I'd throw that little wrinkle in there just to scare Canadian hockey fans who want Logan Thompson from stem to stern on this one. But I just thought it was interesting.
Aren't you glad that we don't have any rink drama left? I mean, I guess it could, if there's a big sinkhole in game number 2, I guess we're going to have some rink drama. But it seems like that. And Matt always cautions me because I always get ramped up about the Olympics not being ready, the venues, because it's always like this at every Olympic Games. Mm-hmm. But it looks like they've pulled it off. And then we look ahead to these drawings for Nice of a soccer stadium cut in half. I mean, you know, who knows how that's going to work, but just the Olympic experience and just the drama around it's a lot of fun. And
that's great.
I'm going to jump into it when I jump into it. I'm still not fully invested into it, but it's going to be a lot of fun.
It's going to be great. We're all going to get caught up in it. Every period is going to be a full audit on the Canadian system, the American system, the Finnish system, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And that's just the nature of the Olympics. I don't know about you guys, but I'm dying, and I've been lobbying, and I've gotten indirectly messages to him to please say it once. I'm dying to hear John Cooper say, we're looking for like really good 197-foot players. We don't want 200-foot players.
He might.
3 feet too much. I want that John Cooper smirk like in the corner of his mouth. You know what? Our 197-foot players are better than their 197-foot players, and that's what it came down. I'll tell you what. Stade de Nice looks interesting, and I do wonder. One thing that I've always wondered about, and this was sort of in the era where owners would grouse about stopping the season. Pausing the NHL season to put on the Olympics, for which they, in their minds, and I think a lot of it was a bluff, don't see direct benefits. I still think it's always a benefit to have your athletes on the biggest stage where the whole world is watching, especially now that the NHL has opened up an office in Switzerland, and finally international hockey seems much more on the front burner than the back burner. But considering, and Stade de Nice is outdoors, as we all know, so that scuttles this idea. I'm sure you guys have heard this one before. Considering it's all indoors and it's all climate controlled, Olympic hockey in the summer? Why does it have to be winter? It's not outdoors. Players. It keeps the NHL season going. There's no stopping whatsoever.
And it used to be, right? Didn't it used to be in the summer games?
When it started. You're a historian. I like you. Absolutely. Yeah. Good for you. Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Played in this. What do you think, J-Pat?
Well, no, but our buddy Dave Tomlinson, didn't he play in the Goodwill Games in Seattle? Wasn't it? I believe he played hockey it was a summer event in the Goodwill Games going back like 30 years.
Yeah. Sure. You look at things like, Canada Cup 87. 1972 Summit Series. No one shut down the NHL for these events. They did for, like Svestia and things like that, which are, I think are fantastic. But no, like, I don't know that we ever get there. I don't think we ever would. But you could make the logical argument that as much as hockey is a quote-unquote winter sport, because of the presence of ice, they played outdoors. It's all climate controlled. This way, NHL can have their full season.
You'd rather lose your player to a knee injury in August than in February.
Bingo. Now, will the IOC ever go for it? No. It's all moot. No. It's just a talk radio topic. Just fodder for Thursday afternoon. That's all it is.
Well, but again, it preserves it as an Olympic sport. So, I do want to ask you one last question on the NHL before I get you to the Easter.
Sure.
Just this drama with Rick Tocchet. This drama with Rick Tocchet. I mean, he's not in danger there, is he? I know they're not playing great either.
No. But that's the thing too. Like, winning covers everything up. I think a lot of that too is, we've seen this before. The team's not successful. Everybody tries to find a target, and right now it's this feud, either legit or just perceived, between Rick Tocchet and Matvei Michkov. And we all know how much Matvei Michkov means to the Philadelphia Fly in the future of that organization, and all the work they had to do to get him there in the first place, and the flashes of brilliance. Is he the fastest skater? No, he ain't Pavel Bure, folks. He ain't going to be that guy, but he is a highly skilled player and someone that the Philadelphia Flyers are going to lean on for a lot of years as they continue to rebuild this team. I don't know. I don't think the organization was exactly thrilled at how open Rick Tocchet has been about the with Michkov. But I always look at situations like this and say winning cures all of it. Winning paints over all of it, doesn't it? Like
but they got to win.
Winning dresses it up, buttons up the shirt and puts a tie on, like all of it. Like winning combs the hair. Winning kind of changes all of it. Now it doesn't.
Two best soap operas in hockey are in Pennsylvania. That and Gavin McKenna. Pennsylvania's got it all going on.
And one of the best stories. And one of the best stories is Pittsburgh. One of the best stories is Pittsburgh Penguins.
Yeah, you're right.
Like honestly, like Pennsylvania hockey, you get storyline, and you got. But even then, like they've dropped a couple now. I don't think they're coming back down to earth yet. But it has been a great story. Anyhow, I digress.
It's going to be nerve-wracking for them. Okay, Easter egg. Back to the Olympics.
Yeah.
And we talked goaltending. It's a three-way tie for the most Olympic starts in Canadian hockey history. It's a three-way tie for second. So there's 6 players. 3 tied with 11 starts, 3 tied with 8 starts. I'm only looking for 4 names on this list. You can jump in at any time if he struggles, so Jeff. But 4 names out of the 6.
Patrick Roy for sure, who famously told Mark Crawford, if you want me in 98, I have to get all the starts. I'm going to go Patrick Roy.
Patrick Roy's not... He's down at 6 Olympic starts.
He's at 6.
Yeah.
All right, then. Martin Brodeur.
Yep.
Sean Burke.
There you go. Those 2 are tied at 11.
What number? Those 2 are tied at 11, so one more 11 then.
I'll be amazed if you get this one. This is hockey historian stuff. And then there's 3 at 8 years. Welcome to get Olympics. 2 off them.
Let me go with Carey Price.
No. Both. If Jeff should be able to get both of these.
J-Pat
Jeff
Lifeline on one of them.
Oh,
Jeff knows both. Luongo at 8. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Luongo for sure.
And there's one last guy, sneaky, a former Canuck as well.
Former Canuck.
I'll say this: he's an advocate, an activist, if you will, almost.
An advocate, an activist.
Both of you guys are gonna absolutely hate yourselves for this.
Yeah, I don't know, J-Pat, what do you think?
I'll give you the 2 that you're never going to get first. Ken Broderick and Murray Dowie are guys from the 40s and 20s. Yeah. And the last one that you guys both missed, Corey Hirsch.
Yeah. Of course.
Yes. Of course, Hershey. Yeah.
8 starts.
Of the postage stamp fame.
Exactly, yes.
Which was actually a Kent Nilsson move, not a Peter Forsberg move. But yes,
there you
Corey Hirsch.
Yeah, it's an interesting list.
Good one.
Yeah, there you go. Carey Price with 5 starts, by the way. So yeah, you were in and around it there.
With 5,
Jeff, pleasure.
The Sochi starts for sure. Well, next time we're talking Olympics. That's going to be good.
We are. We're into it. We're absolutely into it. Jeff, thanks for this. Appreciate it. We'll talk to you next week.
Thanks, boys. Be good.